Hi, everyone, all the JCI members worldwide listening to Togethernet 24 hours, and welcome to my session, Grow Your Audience and Build Your Network Online. I'm really excited to be part in Togethernet 24 hours and to be sharing how to grow your audience with all of you tonight. So let's get started. Quickly to myself, I am a JCI member from Austria and Germany. I've just founded my own company, Career Mom, and I am a trainer also in the JCI world, European Academy, and many others. So I know I will know many of you that are actually participating and hearing now. Unfortunately, I can't answer your questions live since that is pre-recorded, but I'm really excited to offer you the opportunity to ask me questions afterwards. So what are we going to be doing today? This is what you read in the description about what we're going to be talking about. It's really going to be about LinkedIn being the tool #1 to get connected worldwide. And how you can do that. And actually, we've converted this into a 55-minute session. So instead of 25 minutes, which was at the beginning, you'll get 55 minutes of tips. So that's really exciting. So I have composed a little agenda for you. What are the topics we're going to be covering tonight? First of all, we're going to be talking about networking and what networking is, how you can use networking, and what the common mistakes are, and also some great tips about how to network. And then we're going to dive right into LinkedIn and LinkedIn coaching. And we're going to see how LinkedIn works and also answer some common questions about LinkedIn. So let's get started with networking and what networking actually is. I have selected for you a few definitions. I'm starting with the one from Investopedia. That really talks about networking as the exchange of information and ideas among people that have a common profession or a special interest, usually in an informal social setting. So the special interest is important because it will come up a few times. But the definition goes on further, and it talks about that networking often starts with a single point of a common ground that the people have, that network. And that it's really used by the professionals to expand their circles of acquaintances, to find out about different job opportunities in their fields, and to also increase the awareness of news and trends in the greater world. So with that, you already see some of the things that I've highlighted are really about job opportunities. And I've selected another definition from you that actually comes from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And that one talks about networking being the exchange of information or services among individuals, groups, or institutions, and really specifically talking about the cultivation of productive relationships for employment or business, and what networking really is. Mainly the #1 cause of job attainment. So that's really important because now, especially now in our time, right now, jobs are not only done by just applying to an ad or searching on the internet and then sending in your CV. It's really all about networking. And LinkedIn is a place where you can really use that to network. And I'm going to be showing you how. So I have also shared with you my own definition, which means and talks about networking as a means of building up and sustaining your own professional relationships. So when I talk about sustaining, I mean that it's really about not just having a huge network, but it's about having a network that you can count on, that you can trust in, and that you can rely on. So with that definition, that also means that networking is more than just getting connected. It's really to be used as a strategic tool. And that also means that, and it's already in the word networking, it is a lot of work. We are talking here about relationship management. So that means really leveraging your network, working with it, and leveraging your contacts and connections. And how are you going to do that? Well, by looking at what the network offers to you and what it will give you in return to the work that you put into it. So for one, it's an exchange for you of information and really professional development. That's what you can use your network for. You could use it for new job opportunities that you only find out because you're part of that network and because you're networking. But you can also use it to really share new ideas and to dive into partners for idea sharing. And with that, I mean, for example, if you have an idea for a new business or for a project that you want to do also within JCI, share it with your network and get positive critique on it, because sometimes we are a little blind from our own ideas, and our networks can really help us think some things through that we maybe haven't thought about before. Because the network can also give you really knowledge, support, and tips. And that's very important because we all need that. Sometimes we're kind of in our own bubble, and our network can really help us guide through some of the challenges we have, and it can actually also offer us solutions for problems. And that can be very small problems like I don't know, finding the right tax person to ask a specific question, especially now thinking about the crisis and what we're in. If we have a special question about working laws and what we can do and what we can't do, or other things where we simply want the guidance of some contacts in our network. And what the network can really give you is a strategic advantage. And how it's going to give you that, I will show you a few examples and talk to you more about, because there's only one biggest mistake that you can make, and that is not to network. Because that really is the biggest mistake that you can make nowadays. And network can give you so much back in return when you use it the right way. And by using it the right way, I mean relationship building, relationship management, and also taking care of your network. And how are you going to do that? Well, for number one, preparation is key. So I usually start with setting a target. What do I want to accomplish with the network? Ask yourself that question. And especially now, today, since we're talking about LinkedIn, what do you want to accomplish with your LinkedIn profile? Is it supposed to help you grow your own business? Is it supposed to display your JCI functions and your JCI career? Is it supposed to connect you with other business partners, et cetera, et cetera? Define on what is it that you really want to accomplish with it, and I will show you that you can actually accomplish all of those things with your LinkedIn profile. Finding the right contacts is really important. So think about the thought leaders in your industry. Who is it that you want to be connected with? Who is it that you want to meet online or offline nowadays? And then find a way to get introduced to them. And LinkedIn offers you a great tool for that, because you see second degree contacts or third degree contacts when you want to connect with a new person. So you can ask some of them, especially if they are your really good contacts of your network. Can you please introduce me to that person? I've always wanted to meet them. Or usually there's people that will offer it freely to introduce you to some of the other people. For example, myself, I probably introduce about 4 to 5 times a week some people in my network that I think really have a connection and have value within each other. So that's a great way of getting connected. Also, do some research about your contacts. Think about, what is it that I have in common with them? And that can be different things. That could be that you maybe went to the same university or visited the university that your contact is in. That could also be, a common city that you have, or a common hobby that is maybe listed on their profile, or different associations that you belong to. Those are all common grounds, as we've heard in the definition of networking before, that you can really leverage and add a personal touch to your connection. And then, very important, give and take. That is the key strategy to your network. So ask yourself the question, what is it that I can give to my network? What is my USP? What are the services that I can offer? And that can also range from really, really small things. So for example, just sending an article that you come across to somebody in your network and say, hey, I just came by this article. I thought it would be really great for you. And maybe if you have time, let's connect next week over a virtual coffee. And I want to hear how you're doing and how your business is doing, etc. So keep on sending those little things and keep on giving into your network, because it will come back to you multiple ways. So let's move on and let's talk about the right moment to network. I have some great news for you. There is always a right moment, because networking actually happens all the time and it happens everywhere. What do I mean by that? I will also share a small story with you. So I was actually, one of my greatest networking experiences was on an airplane. I was traveling, I believe it was from Texas back to Indiana, on a plane, and I was chatting with the person next to me for about 20 minutes after we figure out that we're actually both from Austria. Surprise. We started speaking German afterwards, and that he's actually the CEO of a very large Austrian corporation that has a facility and a very large office in Texas. So we started getting connected, sharing contact details, connecting on LinkedIn. And ever since then, we've been in contact. And when I need something from that company, I've needed some business contacts for another project, I go back to him and I say, hey, how are you doing? Do you want to introduce me to that person I really want to connect with? Still remember our great flights. There were some problems on the flight that we had a lot of fun with. So it's just a very personal connection, and a very fun one, meeting someone on the airplane. Why I want to share that story with you is it really happens everywhere. It could even happen on your summer vacation. It could happen that you meet some great people that you think are really relevant for JCI, and that the organization will benefit from them as being members. So always be prepared for a quick pitch of whatever it is that you want to pitch to them and that you think fits to that person. And then there's a rule that I usually have, and it's the 7 days rule. Now we can be a little more lenient now in the time, where we are only living virtually, but I try to still stick by it. And that means that when you meet someone, follow up within 7 days, because afterwards they'll probably have forgotten about you, and you'll need a very good excuse about why you're following up so much later. So within 7 days, follow up with the person, send them a quick thank you note. Oh, it was so great to meet you, to connect with you. Let's connect on LinkedIn and make sure that we stay connected in the virtual world. Or here's a great article that I just found. I thought it would be interesting. It was about the topic we discussed when we met, etc. And the last point of advice I'm going to share with you on that part is just do it. Just get started and start networking. You'll be surprised about how easy it is to meet people. Well, you're all members of JCI, or most of you that are listening, so you probably already know how easy it is to meet people and get connected at JCI events, at area conferences, or at the World Conference, World Congress. And once you connect with them, also afterwards, you'll see how easy it is to also stay connected with them. And for that, I want to go to LinkedIn and show you some leads and tips that I will share with you. But for that, I'm not only going to have the leads on the presentation, we are actually going to be doing that live on LinkedIn. And for that, I'm going to be sharing with you my LinkedIn profile. So let's start. Let's actually start with the lead number one, and that is personalizing your LinkedIn profile. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you look up there, you will actually already see that I have opened up the LinkedIn profiles of all the speakers of the 24-hour net, because I think they would be great examples to show you some of the things that I will be talking about on LinkedIn. So the personal link is this link right here that you see highlighted. Why is it so important to personalize that? Because that really makes you unique and shows how professional you are on LinkedIn. And it's very, very easy. I've already opened up my profile in the edit mode. And when you have the edit mode on the right side, you will actually see edit public profile and URL. And when you click on that, one of the first things that comes up is actually personalizing the URL for your profile. So you just click on that and you're able to change that very easily. And show you how this is maybe seen on some of the other profiles that maybe don't have it. So for example, you see here, Maggie doesn't have it yet. That means some of the numbers are added to his profile. But of course, a lot of others will have it, like Petri that we just see here. And we're going to take a closer look at all those profiles later on. So number one was editing your own URL. We'll come to number two, and that's really making yourself visible within LinkedIn and thinking about your profile and what is public and what is not. So this is again my profile, and I'm going to go back into the edit mode, which I already have open here, and show you what you can do in editing the visibility of your profile, which you now see on the right-hand side. So here you can really make all the changes that you want in deciding what you want your public profile to be, meaning what is it that people that are not connected with you see. And any changes you make here, you will see right away that they are made on the left-hand side. So you can really look at what you want your profile to see. So for example, if I don't want to show my background photo, then you would see that that's already gone right away. But I don't want that, because actually the photos are really important on LinkedIn. So I'm going to change that back again. But what I am hiding, and what is the best advice also from HR managers and headhunters, is hide your details. And you'll see that it's always just saving the changes right away. Hide the details because you want something to make you special and to make you unique, to stand out when people search for you. So you'll see that I've hidden all the details from my experience and also from my education. So when you look down, you will only see a summary of my experience. And you won't actually, well, yes, it's still updating the settings, but we'll see that in a moment it will go away. You will see that I'm actually hiding my details. You won't see my details here for all the things. And other than that, I'm pretty much showing even not the details from education, but all the other things I am really showing to people, because I want people to show as much as possible. But you can, another thing that you could decide on not to show, and I'll actually switch back here so we are actually losing this section, would be the articles and activities. Because that's something that you might not want to show to everyone. Now you see it here that I am actually showing that right now. But you might want to deselect that on the right hand side and not show the articles and activity, especially if you're not really active yet. It might be something that you don't want to show to everyone. And I'll come back to that later when we take a look at some of the other profiles, what people are actually showing. But I have a third point that I want to show you. We already talked about photos and how important they are, even in showing them to all of your network. And I will show you some really good examples. It's always important to use really good pictures. So for your portrait picture, for your profile photo, but also for your cover photo. But let's stick with the profile photo. You'll see in almost all of the speakers' profile as well that I've selected that those people have very professional photographs, right? Let's take a look at go back to Maggie's, for example. You'll also see a very professional photo, or then even going back to Jay that I also want to stay with for a second, because it's not only about the profile pictures. It's actually also about your cover photo. Your cover photo is important, and you can make your cover picture as unique and as special to you as possible. So you see some great examples here. Jay really wants to portray himself as a speaker, as an influential speaker, as a TEDx speaker. So he's using a speaker picture not only as his cover photo, but also not only as his profile photo, but also as his cover photo. And you can really do a lot of things with your cover pictures. You'll see another picture that speaker that I've selected, and their cover picture of Xenia is actually her own company, which is also a great way to portray yourself and to portray your cover picture. For myself, I also used an engagement picture as being engaged in the training, actually at my local JCI chapter, and I might switch that at one point to my new company, but I really like engaging with people and showing how engaged I am. So that's also the picture that I've chosen. And yes, the one thing that you should note about the cover picture and in using it is, don't just use a landscape or some kind of art or something that is not unique to you, because that's really a way to portray yourself and to portray what you stand for. So take use of that opportunity and use your cover picture wisely. But there is another thing that you can use wisely, and that's actually number 4 that I'm going to talk to you about, and that's your headline. That is something that you can customize as well. Of course, you can customize all the pictures, and that's really easy as well, just by editing them and clicking on them. So I'm not going to go into details for that, but if you have any questions for that, let me know, but that's a very easy function. For the headline, as you've seen, I've chosen to really display all the functions that I have. So I've founded my own company, Career Mom, but I've worked for almost a decade as fundraising specialist, and I'm also a team leader and trainer and a board member. So I really wanted to display all those functions. And that's really where you can market yourself, and where it's all about your tagline. This really is your mini marketing space that you should make use of. And I'm going to be showing you some other examples of the other speakers and how they've used the tagline. So take a look at Jay's. It's also actually displaying all the positions that he has. And if you know Jay, I've also known him very well last year when he was vice president. I think he does it very well in also using his profile slogan and his headline there, in not only displaying him as speaker, as a thought leader, but also as a coach. So that's the first thing you see right away. we'll take a look at another one, and that's Petri. And he also has great pictures, by the way. If you take a look at, he actually created a customized cover image, also a great idea to be using. But he also has a great way of portraying all the different functions that he has. And actually, when he was JCI World President in the year, so that's also something that you could add in your tagline in really using it. What you should not do is, and I'm going to give you an example, is put in there, for example, looking for new opportunities. So I'm going to use the tab that I was in before and show you what happens and how many people actually do that. When we use the search function and actually type in looking for new opportunities, you'll see that there is many people that have that as their tagline. 935,000 are looking for new opportunities. That's really crazy, because no HR person or headhunter will go into LinkedIn and type in looking for new opportunities. So don't ever do that. Really put in something different there. It could even be something related to JCI, if that's something that you want to display. And if you go looking for Junior Chamber International, people that have that as their job, oh, now actually we've come to the Junior Chamber International page. But if we type that into the search function, and not click on the company right away, you will even see people that have that either in their tagline or as their job. And you'll see that it's a great way of really displaying what you stand for and why you want to use that. So feel free to change your tagline and really leverage that to your own benefit, because that's what LinkedIn is really for. So I'm going to come to actually number 5, and that's a really important one, because that is your about section. And I'm going to show you what I mean. This is the about section that you can customize and put on your profile. And it's really a little bit like a short summary about who you are and what you stand for. So as many of you already have accomplished careers, that is really something that you should be using in making yourself stand out and unique. So you see here, I've included something written in third person, which is usually what people do on LinkedIn if they use it professionally. But I also have in the beginning something that's in the first person, which is a quote, because I really wanted to make my about section also very personal and add some kind of emotional touch from the fundraising perspective. So I've done that, but then there's also one important thing that I'll show you in the end, and that's that I've listed my specialties. And why did I do that? I did that for a very specific reason, and that is this about section is not only written for your network. It's actually also written for the LinkedIn algorithm and for the computer in the back, because you are being tracked on the keywords that you put into your about section, and you are ranked based on those keywords. So a lot of people will put that into their about section. So I've actually looked at the other speakers about sections, and one of them that I want to highlight also to you is Petri's one, where you will also see that he has listed his subjects there. Because that's again being picked up by the algorithm, and that really also sets him as a thought leader in those areas. You also see when you look at Jay's about section that he has included a lot of keywords already into his description and the companies he's worked with, Fortune 100, etc. So you see a lot of keywords already being displayed there. So that's really important to think about how you want to create your own about section. One thing that you should not do is copy and paste something from the companies that you work at, just some basic quotes or something. This about section is really, again, just about you and about marketing yourself to the LinkedIn community and about getting your network started and reaching a wider audience. So use that about section really wisely. Of course, you can do with it however you want, and there's shorter about sections, there's longer ones, but the most important one is really using it to display yourself and what you've done and why you've done it. So you see some great examples here also from the other speakers. Now, I have some special and extra tips with you that I will share with you now. And the first one is your experience and how to display it. And I'll go back to my own profile. Well, I'll show you the one important thing thinking about your experience is choose some of your experience, but don't copy your entire CV into your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile is not a one-to-one to your CV. It's really about building your network and showing your network what you can and what you can't. So here you see some of my positions: being a member of Junge Wirtschaft Wien, which is the JCI Vienna, being an executive board member, and being a strategy and fundraising consultant, and you see some picture displayed, which is a really nice way of showing what you can do, what you're capable of. Also that I've been local president in Frankfurt 2015, so you see some of that displayed, and you see a few points to each. So that's one tip that I'll give you: add a few of your experiences in there, and then also make them homogenize them. So make them so that they're equal, that there's not one job that has 10 points underneath and the other one's only 1 or 2. That doesn't look too well either, according to the HR experts. So make sure that you have a few pictures included and that it's really homogenized. But then I want to share with you also some great examples about how you can include JCI into your CV. So now you've seen the way I did it. Now I want to show you a different way, which I think is also really great, and that's Maggie's profile, where you would see actually the way LinkedIn now does it is, once you are within one company and maybe have had different positions there, then the way it works is that they'll list all your different positions under the same heading. So under JCI, you now see all the different positions that Maggie has held, and you'll see that now he's actually JCI Strategic Plan Implementation Committee member, but he's been on the Advocacy Committee before, and of course, he's been JCI Vice President for Europe. So I think that is really a great way of displaying your JCI experience like that. But I will show you a different way, and you've seen it in the taglines as well. And then another great speaker of the 24-hour net that I've selected for you is Alexandra, and you'll see here that she has listed her JCI experience in her volunteer experience, which is also a great way of displaying the different things that you've done for JCI, that she's been executive vice president at JCI Tagomuras or project manager. And then you also see that you can choose different JCI logos for the different positions that you've held. So that's also something really great that you can leverage and go by. And then there's two last things that I'll select for you on the LinkedIn profile. And one of them, going back to my own profile, is talking about skills and what skills that you want to display. And here you see actually the different skills that I have, and how I'm displaying them is the ones that are really important to myself. So like public speaking and fundraising and nonprofit, that's really where my strengths lie. So those are the ones where people have actually endorsed me. Of course, people that I've worked with and etc. Of course, other people at JCI. So LinkedIn will actually do that automatically for you and ask people that you're connected with, maybe through JCI or through your workplace, if you want to actually endorse their skills. Another person that I think does it really well from the speakers is Jay. And when you take a look at his skills, you'll also see that he has them displayed very prominently. And you see here that I've actually also endorsed Jay for public speaking. That's why you see that little green mark there. So you see that he also has great people that have endorsed his skills. So make sure that you add your own skills to your profile. What is it that you're good in, that you want your network to know, that you want to have displayed on your profile? Because then your network will probably connect with you about that. So that's a really, really great way about doing that. And then, of course, while we are talking about that, recommendations. That's also a really great way of showing your network what it is that you can do. Jay is here extraordinary because he's received 27 and given only 7. So he probably actively reached out to people and asked them to give him a recommendation. Normally you see more of a standard of that being equal. So like received 9 or given 7. That's according to the HR specialist also very okay. If that is kind of has the same measure as in recommendations received and given. And ask people for a recommendation. You see, it's very easy. I would just click on that button and modify that and ask, you know, maybe someone else from JCI or maybe someone that I'm working with now in starting my own company to really give me a recommendation. And that could be a good way to display, for example, a new company to my audience. Yes, that's another thing that I wanted to show you in really displaying your skills. And the last thing I want to show you is a new function that LinkedIn has that can be really important as well in building your network. And that is to the activity we'll get in a moment. But the first thing I wanted to show you is the featured button. And that's actually a new button that LinkedIn has. And it's about what you want to feature on there will be featured very prominently. You can change that at any time, but this is, for example, an article that I've written. You can write articles as well in addition to activities. And I really want to display that article because it's an interview I just recently did about the Corona crisis and how people can stay positive on it. And it's probably one of the only things I have in German on my profile because the interview was in German, because everything else I usually do in English. But the article is important to me, so I have it on the featured list, as well as one of my first you know, events that was supposed to happen. It didn't happen because it was at the end of March and we were already under quarantine then here in Austria. But I reached a really great audience with that article, and the audience reach was more than 5,000 people, which I'll show you in a moment as well. So I wanted to make sure to display it here. You'll see that not everyone has that featured section yet. For example, if we go back to Petri and take a look, you see that he doesn't have the featured section. But he has a lot of activity that you can see. He's also very active. And that's one of the last tips that I actually have for you is be active. Be as active as possible, because that's how you get traction in your network. And we're going to be reviewing all these tips in the presentation in a moment. but I'll show you another great example going back on Jay's profile about the featuring of his articles. You saw on top that Jay featured his TEDx talk, and now he actually has his TEDx talk also linked with a YouTube video here, very easy to see for people. And what Jay has is actually, what you see is he actually has more than just 3 things featured, because probably they're really important to him, lobbying in DC. So he actually has 4 things featured. But you can change that at any time on your own profile. When you click on featured, you can change those settings, and I'm opening that up for you, and edit featured. So I can remove things from featured, or I can add things to featured. And how you actually get to that is you would add the profile section featured onto your profile, and then start putting things there. So with that, let's go back to the articles that I mentioned before and the activity. Here you will see my activity and what I've been doing. Actually, the last thing I shared today was talking about Togethernet 24 hours and how I'm proud to be a part of it, because I wanted to make sure that a lot of people see it. And you see that this has gotten just about 500 views in my network, which is not very much, but it's only been there for a few hours. So it will probably reach more by the time Togethernet airs. And I've also included the link to make sure that people can get it right away to register for it. But usually my posts have a much larger activity. So let's go back and I'll show you, for example, on my featured, if I click on my featured article, you will see that I shared that about actually 1 month ago when my first event was supposed to take place, and that had 2,500 views in the feed. So that was just an activity that I did, and it's really easy to start an activity. And if the more you actually use the activity and the more people you tag, the greater view you will get. So I will show you an example of a post where I actually also had a lot of traction. I just have to scroll down because in here you actually now see all of my activities. So everything that I've liked, you will see here. But I actually want to show you an article that I published about. 1 second, it just takes some time to scroll. There's unfortunately no easier way to go about that. But to show you an article, exactly, that's the one I wanted to show you. That's also an article where I have actually tagged all my co-trainers at the European Academy. And that's another great way of really getting traction. Tagging other people in your post so that it appears to them as well. So there's different ways that I'm showing you how to share information, how to get active, and you can always add those pictures to the post and make sure. So for example, this was someone that just changed jobs and became actually press speaker. So I congratulated him on that. So you'll see, of course, with 190 people being active and 46 comments, I can be sure that other people saw my comments and that they see that I'm connected to him. So that's really all about networking in the activity section that I want to share with you. So with that, I'm going to go back to the presentation, and we're going to go back to the tips really, and I'm going to share with you the presentation now, and again the tips, and then some common final questions. So I will make sure that technology is not failing me. Actually trying to go back to the presentation. Is now working, I hope. Yes. So here we are back at the tips that I've been wanting to share with you. And number one, if we go back, is really personalizing your LinkedIn profile. So that URL that you saw, make sure that it's unique to you. And that you don't have any numbers in there, because then that link you can also include in your email signature, share it in other networks, for example, even on Facebook, on Instagram, on other tools, and making sure that people that follow you in one of the channel can also follow you on LinkedIn, because that LinkedIn is really now the #1 tool for professional networking. Lead number two, it's really about adjusting the public settings of your profile. So like we've just seen, you can make things visible and not visible. So make sure that you have the most important things for yourself that you want the others to see visible in your profile, so that even people that are not connected to you yet will find you interesting. But don't portray everything, as we discussed, so that people still have a reason to connect with you. Lead number three, present yourself authentic and professional with your pictures, please. That also means no pictures with other people in it. As we discussed, take really professional photographies from a photographer as your picture, as your profile pictures. And really think about your cover picture and what you want to display there. No artwork, no landscape, something that is really unique to you. Lead number four, create your own headline. That is really your marketing space. That's where you talk about what you stand for and what makes you unique. So you've seen different example, all is great, just make it unique to yourself. Lead number five, write your own about section to present yourself. What is it that you do? What have you maybe founded? What have you created? What is your role within JCI? Also another great way to add JCI to your profile, other than the ones that we've already talked about, putting it into your experience or putting it into your volunteer experience, adding it to your about section. For example, if you're just serving as a local president on a committee, have another role, add it into the about section. And make sure that it makes you stand out. For example, also if you offer some kind of special services that you want to have displayed, make sure that they are in there as well. And then the special tips that we talked about. Customizing your experience. So make sure that it's not a one-to-one to your CV, but some additional things, and adding pictures to your experience, be that the pictures of JCI or other companies that you can actually add to your profile. Using your skills, making sure that the skills are portrayed that you want to have portrayed and that people have endorsed you for them, and using recommendations, asking people for recommendations. And then last but not least, get active. Just get out there, comment, write an article, share a status update, share some pictures, share what you're doing in your local chapters meeting, share when you've attained new members, do different things with that. Those are really the extra leads that I wanted to share with you. And I know, talking about timing, we actually have 5 minutes left. I've mentioned that a few times now before. Don't forget to include JCI in your profile. So I know that there's not time for questions, but I'll that last time we have the last 5 minutes, I'll share some of the common questions that I've gotten. And please, if you have any additional questions, just message me. And you'll see here again displayed my link, and I'll actually click on here and show you one final thing that I wanted to show you is when you connect with someone, and going back actually now to giving you again my LinkedIn screen for the final minutes is talking about people that you're not connected with. For example, I've selected another person. Actually, she's not in there anymore, but let's go back and look at the speakers from 24HourNet, and maybe some new ones have come across. For example, Sana Valtonen. I believe that I am not connected to her yet. So let's take a look at that and how that looks. Here is Sana. You see, I can't see her profile pic, so that probably means that she's not given it free in her public profile. But when I want to connect with her, one thing I would do is click on connect, and then I would really write her a message. I would say, hi Sana, we are connected through JCI. We're both speakers at 24-hour together 24HourNet, and I would really love to connect with you and meet you at some of the next conferences. And then I would click on send invitation. Always write a personal message. So if you are going to connect with me after that session, also write me a personal note. Tell me maybe what you liked about the presentation and about that session, or what you didn't like. Please do that, and always write a personal note when connecting to people. That's really important now. There's one thing that I'll share with you. When you use the app and LinkedIn on the app, which is also a great tool, you don't just click on connect because it will connect you right away and send a contact request. You actually need to click on the more button, and then you need to click on personalize your invite. So try it out in the app, but don't just click connect right away. So I'm going, yes, to go back to my own profile. One thing that I thought about just when showing my link in the presentation, you'll see it again when you want to connect with me, is add profile in another language. So that's also something that you could do if you want it. I have my whole profile in English because I network a lot internationally, and I've lived about 5 years in the United States, and that's where I also created my profile. So it's in English now, but if you want to have it in another language, that would also be a possibility. Yes, you also see in here some notifications that I get, probably about my network or people that I want to connect with, people that want to connect with me, or other people that I'm connected with in my network. Yes, with that, it was actually really great to be sharing this session with you. And I'm going to go back to the presentation and really show you my final screen and say that it was wonderful to be spending that time with you. I had some hiccups with the video today, so I actually recorded the session twice. So you get to have it now with me speaking in the video, because I thought that would be a lot more personal, even though we can't have it live and I can't meet you all right now. I would love to meet you at the JCI area conference in the future, and would love to connect with you. So I hope that that session was valuable to you. Please do network. We are all members of JCI, so I know that you already know how to network. I hope you can use my session to really grow your audience and tell me about it, how it worked, and I look forward to seeing all of you soon. Thank you for being a part of it. Enjoy TOGETHERNET and the next sessions, and see you soon. Bye.